So, to begin, most any artwork, I guess, is I do spend a good deal of time just observing the subject or the model, using my eyes and oftentimes moving my right hand in tandem with the eye movement, trying to feel the model as a singular, cohesive, continuous whole, trying to feel out the overall shape and one that doesn't separate the limbs from the torso and instead recognizes that this is actually one, again, continuous flowing movement of a singular system, as well as if it interacts with any still life or whatever, because all of the movements inform the movement and the directions of all the parts of this singular unit. And by doing that, I'm going to start laying in some very light line work. And it's almost like stepping into a room of sorts and just going and checking all the edges of the walls before you begin your dance. Just you want to know, have some foundational awareness of what you have to work with and what interacts and how you can play with the space. And that's essentially what we're doing here, just checking proportions lightly and laying that in, which will allow us to have a bit more fun and play in a movement that's going to take us around the entire pose of the drawing rather than a singular line approach. I'm keeping all the elements in check and in play and making sure that they're kind of harmonizing together, because obviously the actual model, the living human, is in harmony with itself, and we're trying to capture that energy along with added emotion as well as the emotion of the pose within the artwork. And so it's maintaining this continuous, overlooking awareness of the entirety of the system. And by now I've started putting in what I like to call notches, these little moments of darker contrast, and they hover and they're spotted throughout the pose early on, just so I can kind of graze my eyes across the drawing and recognize, see the proportions and see how they relate to each other as a general constellation. And they're easier to move than if I pushed too hard, too soon with all of the lines. So I use those as footholds and placements to kind of sense and check as I move forward and spiral inwards and raise the entire piece together as an entire plane of awareness, as opposed to bringing in lots of detail into one section of the drawing and then move to the next. I want it all to sing, almost like orchestrating. I'm moving my hands to kind of bring all the instruments up slowly and gradually as a singular whole, so that we all arrive at the destination together. And it allows for this much more, intimate and informed drawing experience. Because I am, as you can kind of see, flying across the paper. Obviously this is 20 times speed, but the reality is I'm just dancing and having a very lighthearted, loose awareness, and letting the child that has a short attention span and wants to touch everything in the room, just like, ooh, I'm gonna go over here, ooh, I'm actually gonna go over here, ooh, and seeing where that leads, while being very trying to be very true to the pose and thus the light. And since it's a drawing, the light gets depicted by lines, and the nature of those lines, I'm switching how I hold my pencil over and over, using the side of the pencil to get what I call the soft edges and those wide swaths of marks. And sometimes I'll fill in a section or a shape. It's almost like painting in swaths of light, like filling in these patchworks. And the angles of the sides and the edges of these shapes creates that design pattern, this flowing movement that kind of makes the artwork exciting. And that's just a byproduct of this dance. The way my attention launches and moves is shown by the angles of these patterns, which informs where my attention goes next. And so it's this very, I guess, symbiotic experience between the artist and the subject, or their imagination, whatever it is. It tells me where to go, and my subconscious also tells me to go. Like, I'm just a witness to these two interacting with each other, and it's absolutely fun. But again, to repeat, I'm starting with those light overall shapes, and then it's a game of just suggesting and kind of staying abstract and ambient. Like, with that foot in the front, don't necessarily draw the entire foot. I see the wiggle of the ankle and the heel and that pinky toe fat pad, and I just do that little 1, 2, 3 wiggle down the left side of that foot, and that's enough to I guess give it contrast, to give it enough life and awareness. I guess it's awareness upon the page, and I can launch off. And I like to just sometimes circle the forms. Like, I'll just circle the knee, circle a highlight, circle a pinky toe, circle an elbow, and that's again enough. And the bird of my hand launches and goes and checks another part of the nest and just soars around, not necessarily drawing the fabric of the background, but just engaging in the quality of the hardness or the softness, and letting my hand play and move and in some literal sense become the energy of the direction of the fabric or of the eyebrow. And we're kind of nearing the end of this artwork, and at this point I'm standing up, stepping back and forth from the table, because I can feel that it's quaking to an end, and I'm trying to see the remaining marks that need to happen, and I have to pull myself away, but then I see another thing and it can go on forever. But at this point I'm kind of becoming happy with how it's harmonizing with itself, and I'm able to kind of let go. And yeah, this was a fun journey of the artwork, and I hope a bit of this was informative or helpful for you. And yeah, thank you.